Applied Sociology, Nursing, Sem 1, Unit 1. Definition of Sociology. It provides a precise academic explanation of the field, which is scientific study of society, social behavior, social groups, and social change. Nature and scope of sociology. Nature refers to the characteristics of sociology as a discipline. For example, whether it is a science, how it approaches its subject matter, its methodology, and its relationship with other social sciences. Scope. This addresses the range and extent of topic that sociology studies. The scope is broad, covering everything from micro level interaction, example family life, individual group dynamics, to macro level social phenomena, example social class, global conflict, institutions like religion, education, and the economy. Importance and application of sociology in nursing. This is the applied component, specifically tailored to the audience, likely nursing students. It will explain why nurses need to study society and how sociological knowledge is used in their profession. Key application include understanding the patient's social and cultural background, how social factors like poverty or community structure impact health and illness, this dynamic and hierarchies within the healthcare system itself. In essence, it gives what the students will learn the definition of sociology, nature and scope of sociology, importance and application of sociology in nursing. Foundational concept of sociology, origin and founder. The word sociology was coined by Auguste Comte, French philosopher, in 1839. He is considered as the father of sociology. The word sociology was officially created and introduced by the French philosopher Auguste Comte in 1839, father of sociology. Comte is widely regarded as the father of sociology because he was the first to advocate for a scientific study of society and purpose a systematic framework for this new discipline, which he initially called social physics. Comte developed the philosophy of positivism, which argued that knowledge should be based on empirical evidence and scientific method, and he believed this method could be applied to study human social life. Youngest social science. Sociology is referred to as the youngest of all social sciences because it was the last major discipline emerging after economics, political science, and history to crystallize and establish itself as a separate systematic field of study, particularly in response to the massive social changes brought about by the French Revolution and the Industrial Revolution. Etymology, meaning of the word. Sociology, socio, Latin word societas, meaning society. Sociology, Greek, logos, science or study of or advanced study. The word sociology is derived from the Latin word societas, which means society, and the Greek word logos means science or study or advanced study. So, therefore, the literal meaning of sociology is the science of society or study of society. Sociology is the youngest of all the social sciences. The importance and application in nursing. The inclusion of sociology in a nursing program is critical for developing a holistic approach to patient care, which is a key focus of the introductory topic. The knowledge of sociology allows nurses to understand the patient's context, gain insight into the traditions, family structure, economic status, and cultural norms. This context directly influences their health seeking behavior, their reaction to illness, and their adherence to treatment. Improve patient care, deliver need based, individualized care. A nurse can effectively plan and implement treatment only by understanding the social factors like poverty, lack of social support, or gender based roles that might be causing or affecting the illness. Navigate the healthcare system. Understand the social structure and hierarchy within the hospital or healthcare team, which helps maintain professional relationship and a good working environment among different personnel, doctors, nurses, technicians, administrators, address public health issues, identify social causes and consequences of disease such as how social factors like poverty, education, and lack of sanitation contribute to the spread of communicable diseases, become a social agent, recognize their social responsibility to work towards the promotion of health and prevention of illness within the larger community, often by addressing social problems linked to health outcome. So, the knowledge of sociology allows nurses to understand patients' context, improve patient care, navigate the healthcare system, address the public health issues, become a social agent.
Definitions of sociology. L.F. Watt. He defined sociology as the science of society or of social phenomena. This is a broad fundamental definition positioning sociology as a scientific field dedicated to studying society as a whole and the observable events that occur within it. Ginsberg. He suggests that sociology is the study of human interaction and interrelation and their conditions and consequences. This definition emphasizes the dynamic relational aspects of social life. He focused not just on people but on how they connect, the circumstances that shape their interaction, and the outcome that result from them. It focuses not just on people but on how they connect. So, sociology is a study of human interaction and interrelation of their condition and consequences. Emily Durkheim. One of the founding figures of sociology, Durkheim defines it as the science of social institutions. Social institutions like the family, government, religion, and education are the established, enduring structures that organize human behavior. So, sociology as a science of social institutions. Ogburn and Nimkov define sociology as a study of social life. This is an encompassing definition similar to Watt's, which covers all aspects of human existence that are shaped by group living and interaction. Kimball Young. He focused on the individual within the group, stating that sociology deals with the behavior of men in groups. This highlights the core sociological interest in understanding how group dynamics influence individual actions and vice versa, differentiating it from psychology, which often focuses solely on the individual. Subject matter of sociology. Subject matter of sociology. The study of society. This is the most basic and inclusive subject matter referring to a large group of people who share common territory, interaction, and culture. The science of social life. This focuses on the patterns, process, structures that govern how people live together. The study of social relationships. This includes all forms of connections, bonds, and interaction between individuals and groups, example cooperation, conflict, authority. The study of human behavior in groups. This investigates how being part of a group, smaller or large, influence an individual's action, belief, and values. The study of forms of social relationship. This refers to the structured ways relationship manifests, such as status, roles, institutions, and organizations. The study of social action. The study of social action. This is a study of human conduct to which acting individual attaches subjective meaning. Sociologists analyze the motivations, purpose, and goals behind people's action in a social context. The study of social groups and social system. This includes analyzing different types of groups, primarily, secondary, formal, informal, and the overarching social systems like economic and political system that organize them. In essence, the subject matter confirms that sociology is concerned with every aspect of social life that is structured by social forces, groups, and relations. Nature of sociology. Sociology is an independent science. It's not a branch or subfield of another science like philosophy, history, or political science. It has established its own distinct field of study, boundaries, and methodology. Sociology is a social science, not a physical science. Like physics, chemistry, and geology study non-living things and the natural world, sociology falls squarely into the social realm. Sociology is a categorical and not a normative discipline. Categorical or positive science focus on what is. It describes and explains phenomena as they actually exist. Normative science focus on what ought to be. It deals with value judgments and ideals, morality, ethics. Sociology is a pure science and not an applied science. Sociology's primary goal is to analyze and explain social reality, not to prescribe ethical conduct, not ideal social structures. Sociology is a pure science, not an applied science. Pure science seeks to acquire knowledge for its own sake, focusing on establishing theories and understanding fundamental principles. Applied sciences uses the knowledge gained from pure science to solve practical problems. Example, social work, administration. While sociological knowledge can be applied, the discipline itself, as defined here, it fundamentally concerned with knowledge generation over practical application. Sociology is relatively an abstract, not a concrete science. Abstract science deals with general principles and concepts. Example, social relationships, norms, power. Concrete science deals with specific events, people, or objects. Example, history focuses on specific dates and events. Sociology studies the form and patterns of human interaction rather than just the visible physical aspects. Sociology is a generalizing and not a particularizing or individualizing science. Generalizing science like sociology and economics seeks to establish general laws or principles about social phenomena. Particularizing science like history describe unique specific events and biographies. Sociology aims to identify common trends, structures, and patterns across different societies and groups. Sociology is both rational and empirical science. Rationalism emphasizes reason and logic for generating knowledge, theory building. Empiricism emphasizes observation and evidence gathered through sensory experience and research, data collection. Sociology uses both. It develops theories through logical reasoning and validates or modifies those theories through systematic empirical research. Sociology is an independent science. Sociology is an independent science. Sociology has evolved from being an offshoot of philosophy, political philosophy, or history in a fully independent discipline. Distinct identity. It is no longer treated or studied as merely a sub-branch of any other field. It is not treated and studied as a branch of any other science. Self-contained discipline. As an independent science, sociology possesses its own field of study, society, social group, and social relations, its own boundary, distinguishing it from other social sciences and its own method, systematic, objective research techniques. Scope of sociology. Two different views about the scope of sociology. The specialist or formalistic school. This school argues for a limited, independent, and pure scope for sociology. Its proponents believe sociology should not try to study everything, but rather a unique, abstract aspect of social life that no other science studies. Core idea: focus on forms over content. The central argument championed by John Simmel is the distinction between the form and the content of social relationship. So there is no opinion about the scope of sociology. In the broadest sense, sociology is studying human interaction, their condition and consequences. There are two main schools of thought among sociologists on this issue: specialistic or formalistic school, synthetic school. Specialistic or formalistic school. In this group, sociologist demarcates sociology clearly from other branches of social study and confines it to the inquiry into certain defined aspects of human relationship or sociology as pure and independent. The central argument championed by John Simmel is the distinction between form and content of social relationship. So sociology, in this group, sociologist democrats sociology clearly from other branches. It confines inquiry into certain defined aspects of human relationship or sociology as pure and independent. Sociology has limited field of inquiry and deals those problems which are not dealt with other social sciences, specialistic or formalistic school. One school is a specialist or formalistic school. This school argues for a limited, independent, and pure scope for sociology. Its proponents believe sociology should not try to study everything, but rather a unique, abstract aspect of social life that no other science studies. Core idea: focus on forms over content. The central argument, championed by George Simmel, is the distinction between the form and content of social relations. The specific interest, movies or purpose, interaction. Example: economic trade, religious worship, political maneuvering. This content is already studied by other social sciences: economics, theology, political science. So the abstract pattern or structure of the interaction itself: cooperation, conflict, subordination, competition, exchange, leadership. Simmel argued that sociology should be concerned only with the forms of social relationship, much like geometry studies the forms of physical objects, square, circle, regardless of the material. They are made of wood, metal. Key proponents and their emphasis. Next is synthetic school. This school takes a broad, general and encyclopedic view of sociology. Its proponents believe sociology must study society as a whole and synthesize the findings of other special social sciences to achieve complete picture. Core idea: synthesis and interconnection. This view rejects the idea of a limited pure scope. It argued that because all aspects of social life, economic, political, religious, are closely interconnected, you cannot understand one part without understanding its relation to the all. So the key proponents: Emily Durkheim, social institutions and social facts. Sociology studies social facts and social institutions like religion, law and morality. So sociology studies everything and anything under the sun, the synthetic school. The other group maintained that the field of sociology investigation is too wide for any other social science, and sociology as a special social science such as economics, anthropology, history, there is also considered of a sociology as a general science. Specialist or formalistic school. Specialist of formalistic schools. Simmel, Small, Verkant, Max Weber, von Weiss, Tani. Specialist or formalistic school. This group, led by Simon, views sociology is confined to the inquiry of certain defined aspects of social relationship, and they consider sociology as a pure and independent. Simon's view, sociology deals with same topics as they from a different angle, from the angle of different modes of social relations. The formalistic school, George Simon, studied the form of association, conflict, subordination, cooperation. The formalistic school is criticized primarily for extreme abstraction by focusing only on abstract forms. It disconnects sociology from concrete social reality and the actual problems of social life. Unworkable distinction. Critics argue that the form and content of social life are inseparable. Narrowing the scope, it necessarily restricts sociology's potential, excluding cultural, economic, and institutional dimensions, vital to a complete understanding of society. And it's not unique. Other social sciences like political science and or international law also study forms of relationships. Example, power of diplomacy, making the claim of a unique subject matter debatable. So, in specialist schools, Simon's view, sociology deals with same topic as they from of different angles. Small's view, sociology does not study all the activities of society. The scope of sociology is the study of the general forms of social relationship, behavior, and activities. Synthetic school. The synthetic school argues for an expansive, encyclopedic scope for sociology, believing it should be a general social science that encompasses, integrates, and coordinates the fighting of all other social sciences. This view arises largely a criticism of the formalistic school, which was deemed too narrow and abstract. Proponents of the synthetic school believe that social life is an interconnected whole and cannot be understood by studying only one isolated aspect. Core principles of synthetic school. According to this group, sociology is a general science. It wants sociology to be a synthesis of all social science. Core principles, general science, not special. The synthetic school rejects the idea that sociology should be specialized, pure science, limited to abstract forms. Instead, they classify sociology as a general science whose domain is the entire field of social science. Synthesis and integration. The main goal is for sociology to be a synthesis mixture of the social sciences. Since subjects like economics, history, and political science study particularly aspects of society, sociology's role is to integrate their findings to present a holistic, complete picture of social life. Holistic study, because all aspects of society, economic, political, religious, familial, are interdependent. The school asserts that sociology must study society as a whole, everything and anything under the sun that is social. Key proponents and their contribution. The synthetic school is supported by some of the most prominent classical and modern socialists. Emile Durkheim, Science of Institutions. He argued for a comprehensive study of social institutions and social facts, collective way of acting, thinking, and feeling that exist outside the individual. He divided the scope into three main fields: social morphology, structure and form of society; social physiology, social institutions like religion, law, and general sociology, discovery of general social laws. Hobhouse, coordinating science. L.T. Hobhouse. He believed sociology's core task is to coordinate the result achieved by various specialized social sciences like economics and history, and establish interconnection between different aspects of social life. Morris Ginsburg. Morris Ginsburg, classification and analysis. He defined the scope. He defined the scope as including the classification of all forms of social relationships, analysis of the relationship between individual and society, and the study of the interconnectedness, different parts of social life, economic, political, religious. Carl Mannheim, Sociology of Knowledge. His work demonstrated the interconnectedness of social structure and thought, showing how different social groups and classes produce different types of knowledge, thereby synthesizing sociology and philosophy. Alex Inknes, Analytical and Empirical. He outlined three paths for sociology, all learning towards synthesis: studying social interaction, analyzing social relations, studying social systems and structures. J.B. Keane, a contemporary advocate who supports a broad view of sociology as a discipline that studies the dynamics of society in its entirety. Sorokin, Science of Generalization. He saw sociology as studying the general features common to all social problems and relationship between different social phenomena, family and economy, social and non-social. Example, geographical phenomena. He advocated for coordination among all social sciences. Importance and application of sociology in nursing. Importance of sociology. Sociology provides a framework for understanding human behavior in its social context, making it crucial for any profession dealing with people and groups. Sociology makes a scientific study of society. Sociology employs the scientific method, observation, testing, and systematic analysis to study society, social relations, and social phenomena. It moves beyond common sense and philosophical speculation to provide objective and evidence-based insights into how societies function, change, and are organized. This scientific approach allows for reliable knowledge about school dynamics, which can be used to inform policy and practice. Sociology makes a scientific society. Sociology studies the role of the institutions in the development of the individual. Sociology examines major social institutions, family, education, religion, government, and healthcare, and how they shape the personality, values, and behaviors of an individual. It highlights that a person is a product of their social environment and culture. Understanding this relationship help us recognize that individual development and problems are often linked to institutional structures and societal role. The study of sociology is indispensable for understanding and planning of society. To manage or improve a society, one must first understand it. Sociology provides the necessary knowledge about social structure, cultural patterns, group dynamics, and source of conflict or cohesion. This understanding is critical for effective social planning, policy development, and administration, allowing leaders to anticipate the consequences of action and design interventions that fit the needs of the population. Sociology is of great importance in the solution of social problems. Sociology identifies and analyzes the root cause of social problems, example, poverty, crime, inequality, and disease, by tracking them back to social structures, class system, and institutional failures. By scientifically diagnosing the problem's origins, sociology provides the framework for developing effective, targeted, and comprehensive solutions that address structural cause rather than just symptoms. Sociology has drawn out attention to the essential work and dignity of man. Sociology, by studying all cultures and societies, promotes greater understanding and tolerance for differences. It emphasizing that human life is valuable and that social forces like discrimination or poverty often strip individuals of their dignity. By highlighting social injustice and inequality, sociology inspires social reforms and advocates for the fundamental human rights and dignity of all people, regardless of their background or status. Importance of sociology. Sociology has changed outlook with regard to the problems of crime. Sociology shift the focus of understanding crime and other social deviants like delinquency or addiction from purely individual fault or moral failing to social factors. It introduced concepts like sociology shift the focus of understanding crime. It introduced concepts like social disorganization, strain theory, social learning, and labeling theory to explain that crime often results from poverty, lack of opportunity, social exclusion, or breakdown of norms. This change in outlook leads to more effective preventive solution, focusing on social reforms and rehabilitation rather than just punishment. Sociology has made great contribution to enrich human culture. By studying and comparing diverse societies and cultures, sociology enriches human understanding. It promotes cultural relativism, the idea that a person's belief and practices must be understood based on that person's own culture, not judged against the standards of another. This perspective broadens intellectual horizons, reduces ethnocentrism, and increases appreciation for the variety and complexity of human life and social arrangements worldwide. Sociology is of great Sociology is of great importance in the solution of international problems. Global issues like war, terrorism, international conflict, migration, and global inequality are fundamentally social problems. Sociology provides the tools to analyze the social, political, and economic causes of these tensions, such as historical inequalities, cultural clashes, and disparities in power. By understanding the social roots of international conflict, sociology can contribute sociology can contribute to economic causes of diplomatic efforts, peace building, and effective international cooperation. Sociology is useful as a teaching subject. Sociology is a valuable subject in education because it equips students with critical thinking skills. It teaches individuals to look beyond surface level explanation, analyze patterns of behavior, understand social structures, and objectively evaluate social issues. This makes it an excellent preparation for careers in public service, law, social work, journalism, and critically healthcare. Sociology as a profession. Sociology offers a professional career path for sociologists, researchers, analysts, and consultants. Sociological training is increasingly sought after in various sectors, including government planning, market research, urban development, non-profit management, and data analysis. These professionals apply their knowledge of social structure and human behavior to practical real-world issues. Importance of sociology in nursing. Sociology is an essential foundation for modern nursing practice, moving the focus of care beyond the biological body to the whole person within the social context. Culture and subcultures enable the nurse to provide culturally competent care. Understanding a patient's culture, belief, healing practices, diet, and family role prevents misunderstanding, builds trust, and ensures adherence to treatment. Social institutions, family, help the nurse recognize the influence of the family structure nuclear single parent on a patient's health seeking behavior. Socioeconomic status allows the nurse to assess social determinants of health, poverty, education level, access to resources, role and status, aid the nurse to understand the sick role. Social stigma help the nurse address disease associated with stigma, HIV, AIDS, mental illness, addiction. Community health guides the nurse in community health planning by using sociological tools to analyze the social structure and need of a community. Example, high unemployment, lack of social cohesion. The nurse can design effective public health intervention. So sociology includes in the curriculum of nursing because health is includes social component. Key application: most illness have social causes and social consequences. Social cause: many diseases, heart disease, respiratory illness, malnutrition are rooted in lifestyle, poverty, pollution, lack of education, high stress, which are all social and economic factors. Most of the illness have social cause and social consequences. Sociology gives knowledge to deal with patient and to understand his habits, norms, culture and behavior. Understanding a patient's behavior in the hospital setting often depends on their social status and whether they feel empowered or intimidated by the medical establishment. Sociology gives knowledge to deal with patient and to understand these habits, norms, culture and behavior. The nurse has to understand the necessity of changing the environment or surroundings. Effective health interventions often require altering the patient's immediate social environment. For example, treating a child's repeated infection may require the nurse to address sanitation practices, housing condition, or family support structure, social environment, and ecology, rather than just prescribing medication. The nurse therefore acts as an educator and advocate for necessary changes in the patient's surrounding social world. Importance of sociology in nursing. To adjustment and service of the family members are important in the recovery process of the patient. So for understand this knowledge of family is essential for the nurse. Without sociological knowledge, a nurse cannot understand the community. The sociological knowledge, the nurse understands the factors of caste, faith, community, religion, etc. Importance of sociology in nursing. So this knowledge helps her to avoid prejudices and discrimination, as well as a nurse should understand the social position, status and social responsibilities with regard to health field by studying sociology. So as to work is accordance with rules and norms of it by removing egoistic and impulse based behavior. The nurse to understand the necessity to changing the environment for making recovery better. Importance of sociology in nursing. Social correlates of disease, including demographic factors, can be understood by the nurse with the knowledge of sociology. Sociology is crucial in nursing because it provides a framework for understanding social context. Understanding social correlates of disease. Sociology helps nurses understand how demographic factors, socioeconomic status, education, race and geographical location are linked to health outcome and disease pattern. This knowledge allows the nurse to assess risk, recognize population at higher risk for certain illness due to social determinants of health. Example, poverty, lack of access to care. Tailor interventions. Develop care plans that address the patient's entire life situation, not just the biological disease. Approaching the patient at various levels: emotional level, cultural level, intellectual level. Importance of sociology in nursing. Emotional level. Emotional level. Understanding the patient's social and emotional states is vital. Ventilating and rapport. The nurse, informed by sociology's focus on interpersonal dynamics, provides opportunities for the patient to ventilate their feelings, which reduce emotional burden and is essential for building rapport. This strong relationship is crucial for effective curtail intervention and patient complaints. So nurse gives some opportunity for person to ventilate the feeling, which will reduce the emotional burden. It is really help to build up the rapport, which is essential for effective curative intervention. The cultural level. Patients may not be able to adjust with hospital environment because limitations of cultural environment. Addressing sentiments. Sociology provides the basis for cultural competency and sensitivity. Nurses recognize that patients' behavior and refusals, like not wanting to remove a Mangal Sutra for surgery, stem from deeply held cultural belief and sentiments. Facilitating adjustment. The nurse can use sociological understanding to explain the medical necessity in a way that respects the patient's cultural thinking, helping them adjust to the potential aligned hospital environment. Female patient not to be ready to remove her Mangal Sutra at the time of surgery because of their cultural sentiments. So the next intellectual level. The patient is unable to understand the instructions and guidelines given by the nurse or doctors. Adapting instruction. When the patient is unable to understand instruction, sociological knowledge helps the nurse assess the patient's intelligence, education, and health literacy. Sympathetic approach. This awareness allows the nurse to approach the patient systematically, adjusting communication method. Example, using simpler language, visual aids without emotional reaction or frustration, ensuring the patient receive the necessary information of their care. So here, knowledge of sociology help nurse to understand the intelligence of patients. This knowledge make the nurse to approach the patient sympathetically without emotional reaction.
Application of sociology in education. Sociology is fundamentally the study of human social behavior, society, patterns of social relationship, social interaction, and culture. Its application in nursing is crucial because health and illness are not purely biological phenomena but are deeply rooted in social context. Understanding health and illness in social context. Sociology is a recent addition to the syllabus of medical education. Sociology is needed in general to all the medical profession, especially nursing, because social conditions are sometimes responsible for health problems. Sociology helps to understand the relationship between disease and social condition. So, for example, a nurse would understand that patients controlled diabetic might not just a matter of personal choice but a lack of access to healthy food option, a food desert, or inability to afford medication. The social construction of illness. Sociology examines how society defines what it means to be sick or healthy and how illness is experienced. This helps the nurse move beyond a purely biological definition of disease. Holistic and a patient centered care. Man is an integral part of society. This means patient is not just a collection of organs, a biological machine, but a person with a family, a job, a community, and a culture. Emphasis on the persons, not the handicap. The emphasis is not on the handicap. The emphasis is not on the handicap, but on the person. Is a central sociological and holistic nursing care. The nurse recognizes that a patient's illness or disability is only one part of their identity. Understanding the patient's social role, example as a mother, employee, community. Next, cultural competence. A significant part of sociology is the study of culture. Nurses need this knowledge to respect different belief about health, illness, death, and healing, understand various in communication style, family dynamics, ensure that care plan are culturally sensitive and therefore more effective. So, man is an integral part of society. Man does not exist alone. For health condition in sociological terms, the emphasis in not on the handicap but one of the person. So, a nurse could take care about the patient, enhancing nurse patient relation. Therapeutic communication. Sociological awareness help the nurse understand the patient's perspective, social anxieties, fear related to institutions, their feeling of powerness. Navigating power dynamics. The relationship between a nurse and the patient involves inherent power differences. Sociology helps the nurse reorganize and manage this dynamic to promote patient autonomy and collaboration in care, improving public health and health policy. Nurses with a sociological perspective are better equipped to identify social determinants of health at a community level. This understanding allows nurses to advocate for patient on a broader scale, pushing for changes in policy or resource allocation to address underlying social problems that contribute to poor health outcome. The core message is that nursing is a biopsychosocial profession, while medicine and biology address the bio component, psychology addresses the psycho component, and sociology is essential for addressing the social component of human health. By incorporating sociology, the nurse moves merely treating a disease to caring for the whole person in their unique social context. So, as a nurse should take care about the patient holistically. Application of sociology in nursing, economic condition and patient care. If a patient belongs to working or middle class, the family will face economic problem and the patient will have the fear of destitution. Illness, particularly long term or severe disease, is a major cause of financial hardship. Working and middle class families rely heavily on regular income. When a wage earner becomes sick, the loss of income combined with cost of treatment can quickly lead to financial distress, creating intense anxiety that hinders recovery. In spite of the willingness of the patient, nobody prefers to employ him. So, if patient belong to working or middle class, the family will face economic problem. In spite of willingness of the patient, nobody prefer to employ him. This highlights the societal problem of stigma and discrimination against the sick or recovering individual. Employers may be hesitate to hire someone with a known illness, disability, or a history of frequent hospitalization, even if the person is capable and working and willing to work. As a result, the patient is forced to lead an ideal life, which leads to serious economic problems. The patient is forced to lead an ideal life, which leads to serious economic problem. The inability to work and find employment due to illness and, and societal barriers leads to inactive and prolonged financial strain. This vicious circle negatively impacts mental health and prevents the patient from fully participating in society. So the nurse should feel their economic condition. This is a call for empathy and intervention. The nurse must recognize that the patient's illness is not just a biological problem but an economic one. This sociological awareness prompts the nurse to act as an advocate, connecting the person with social security, financial aid, occasional rehabilitation, or medical social workers to alleviate the burden and support recovery. Importance of social environment. A patient with physical handicap should be understand the context of his social context. A patient's Physical handicap should be understood in the context of his social milieu. Social milieu means the person's social environment or setting, family, community, workplace, culture. A physical disability is only a handicap if the environment make it one. For example, a wheelchair user is less handicapped in a city with ramps and elevators than in a city with only stairs. The nurse must assess the patient's challenges not just medically but based on support or barriers present in their immediate social world. Psychological, social, and occasional handicap of the disabled person and patients are often related with false attitudes of the pupil. This is a powerful sociological point. The biggest handicaps are often not the physical impairment itself, but the negative false or discriminatory attitude, stigma held by others. These attitudes led to social isolation, psychological distress, and occasional exclusion, compounding the difficulties faced by the patient. The nurse must recognize these external social barriers as a major factor in the patient's total health. And the nurse should understand the social environment for develop the patient health condition. The nurse must thoroughly assess and understand the patient's social environment, support system, community acceptance, accessibility, financial stability because it directly impact their health outcome. By understanding the environment, the nurse can create a comprehensive care plan that address the patient's entire life situation, not just the disease or injury. Social factors. Sociology helps nurse to understand the social factors which form the barriers to treatment, inhabitation, and positive outcome. A nurse cannot treat a patient effectively without understanding the context of their life. Sociological factors, known as social determinant of health, often act as barriers. Example of barriers: lack of money for medication, not reliable transport to clinic, family or cultural belief that conflict with the prescribed treatment, or poor housing conditions preventing recovery. Understanding these allows the nurse to address the root cause of non adherence or poor recovery. Nurse to understand the importance of supportive social factors in treating and rehabilitating the patient. A strong family network that provide emotional and physical support, a job that provide a good health insurance, or a supportive community group, the nurse must assess and leverage these existing strengths to aid in the patient's recovery and rehabilitation, leading to a better positive outcome. Intervention measures. In the absence of a social worker, the nurse may have to deal with family and other problems such as housing, financial, social isolation, psychological disturbance of the patient. In many healthcare settings, a dedicated social worker is not always available. The nurse therefore becomes the primary holistic care provider, taking on the role of identifying and sometimes managing the patient's social issues. The nurse must be prepared to look beyond the medical chart and address problems like housing insecurity, financial strains, social isolation, and the resulting psychological disturbance. Intervention of finance and social security measures. This involves connecting patients with resources. This could mean helping a patient apply for disability benefit, connecting them with local food banks, or finding government program that help cover medication cost. It moves the nurse from a purely clinical role to that of an advocate and resource navigator. Social change and treatment. This is the highest level. Social change and treatment. This is the highest level of sociological application. It means recognizing that some health problems are systematic. High rate of asthma in a poor neighborhood due to pollution. The nurse may engage in public health advocacy, community education, or policy recommendations to bring about social change that supports better health, thus integrating public health with individual treatment. Modification of attitudes. This refers to changing attitude both within the patient and with the healthcare system or society. Educating patients and their families to modify attitude towards health practices, superstitious and or stigma around certain disease. Encouraging the nurse and other staff to modify their attitude, example, towards patients based on social class, culture, or lifestyle, ensuring not judgmental, equitable care. So, intervention, making the nurse a crucial link between the individual patient and the broader societal factors that influence their health.